For now, I want to invite up Hannah Jelovich and Zach Martinez. Will you guys join me on stage? So what we're going to do here is just ask a few questions around faith and work. Now, Zach was commissioned. You were commissioned last fall, or was that last summer? Has it been a full year?
I don't remember.
Okay. Very meaningful.
It was last year. So.
Yeah, last year. He was about a year ago. He was commissioned. And Hannah, obviously, it was today, which is kind of a cool and neat opportunity for us to kind of walk through. Now, for those of you that are kind of still confused, like what is a workplace commissioning? Now, I said it today, but it's very similar to a parent commissioning. We are simply symbolically acknowledging the fact that God has sent us into our places and spaces of work. And these two individuals have been so kind to be commissioned and to sort of acknowledge that publicly so we could pray for them as they go about doing that. So I'll start with you, Zach. Question to you first. Just initially, what was exciting about getting commissioned, or even just interesting in general about the idea of workplace commissionings for you?
Yeah, I think as a background, I think growing up or when I was younger, I had like a low view of work, kind of like what Paul was saying, the pendulum swung too far the other way. And so just had kind of a view that, that's my job. And obviously working that way, you're not going to have joy and it's going to be tough. But I think God was already at work in my heart, showing me the meaning that we do have in work and the purpose that we have in work and why he put us here. And also at the time, our community group was trying to focus on how do we be a light in our communities. So I think all that aligned, and it was kind of aligning to what God was trying to change in me. And so it's a calling we all have. I was always, even at the time, wondering like, how come we're not all being commissioned? But either way, I was excited to, I guess, publicly commit to that calling that I had. So,
and just by way of reminder, so you are a software engineer
yes.
at Microsoft?
Yeah.
And that's your still current role?
That is my current role. Yeah.
Awesome. So you get a little best of both worlds. Which company's better? Is it Microsoft? Is it Amazon? Tool of the Titans, right? Same question for you, Hannah. I know it's new for you, just being this morning, but what initially, when it was brought to you, workplace commissioning, what was like interesting or exciting about that idea in general?
So I'll be completely honest in that I think I had a little hesitancy, if I'm honest, because I think I have conviction, I feel convicted more than anything of just like, how am I really faithfully stewarding work? And sometimes I just don't, honestly. So I felt like, okay, I think God's calling me to step out, speak out, and like reassess. And I think that's where I'm at right now, if I'm honest. So I feel like the commissioning is a calling, and it's keeping me accountable with you guys, and as partners in discipleship. And I just feel like I want to keep my eyes open, and I'm excited for what God has to show me. I think it's easy to go day-to-day work and job with the narrow blinders, but I think God has more for us, right? In the workplace. Like Paul was saying, it's one of the most undermined mission fields. And I totally agree with that. And I don't think I've faithfully done that all the time, right? So I think this is a new elevated calling to step up and step out. So
you're bringing to light something really. By the way, thank you for your courage. Mm-hmm. It is interesting. We are putting sort of a public declaration on your back, so to speak, and so people do know, and they're going to say, "Hey, Hannah, how's it going? I'm praying for your opportunity and your influence," and you kind of have to be sort of accountable to that. But do you think that it's possible for most people, maybe for yourself even, both of you guys can answer this, that you could be a Christian in one space and then just not at all bring that into your place of work? Do you feel like you see that happening? Do you feel like you've participated in that?
Is it possible?
Is it possible that yes, I'm asking nicely, but yeah, do you?
I think we could try. I don't think it is, because as Christians, we're a new creation, so every aspect of us has changed. I think we could try to hide it. But I think it will come out if we're trying to live out and serve God in the best way we can, it will come out in our work.
I think yes. I think I was looking through my career just as I'm thinking through all this. It's I've had ups and downs in my seasons of work where I'm okay, I feel like I'm really close to Jesus, and I feel like out of that overflow, I'm wanting to bring that to everyone at work, or like I might be more evangelistic focused in a season, and then sometimes I'm just tired and don't want to engage. So in those times, I'm probably hiding and like I said, the blinders on and just showing up and like just doing my job and wanting to leave. But like I like also how Paul called out, like it's every day is an opportunity for worship. Ultimately, your heart in work is worship. So it's like, what am I going to show up to do? I can't hide from worshiping from God, like as a disciple, right? So like, I'm here to worship, even if I'm tired, or even if I'm feeling disengaged, demotivated. Like, how do I keep showing up? So I think so. Yes, you totally can hide it. Too, in my opinion.
Good. Thank you for sharing. No, that's exactly what we're looking for. Now that you've been commissioned a while now. What do you hope to accomplish with that? Is there anything specific or general that you're hoping that comes about in your work and in your life as a result?
I do hope someday to see coworkers come to Christ. Haven't seen that yet, but I hope for that. I do hope to continue to, I guess, grow professionally for the glory of God, and then also for my witness.
That's good.
What do I hope for?
Yeah, is there anything you would hope that would come about? Thinking about you as a manager or you as a coworker.
Yeah, I think like when I was younger in my career, I was just wanting to be a successful businesswoman. I was pretty career driven. So I think I swung to the pendulum of like idealistic in that, like, I want the status. I want to grow in my career. I just want to climb that corporate ladder and get to the top. It's probably like how I was to some extent, and gave me that, I had that ambition and energy without kids too, right? So you kind of do have the time and capacity to some extent. And then as life changes, I'm talking about seasons again, but like, it's gone up and down. I think I was comparing myself to, I get competitive sometimes, but I was comparing myself to a coworker, and she's just like going straight up to the top. And I've been more of an S-curve type of career path, and I've learned to be okay with that. It's like different callings, different seasons, where you're at. Like God's teaching you different things at any given point. So to answer your question, I think continued faithfulness and persevering in where I'm at for whatever God's teaching me at that point, and whatever doors God's opened, because like I started as an individual contributor. So how can I be a light to coworkers and colleagues? Now I'm like a leader of more of an organization with more people under me. So it's like, how do I set structure and visibility and leadership that influences the group in a positive way to show that I'm an engaged person, that I'm an approachable person. So my hope is that I continue to grow where I'm at with what God's called me to. Yeah.
That's well said. Thank you. Oftentimes when I hear faith in work, I think, okay, how do I get as many tracts into the hands of my coworkers as possible? Like, how do I make sure that they hear the gospel like as fast as possible? So I used to work in tech. I worked in software sales for a couple of years. And so I have a little bit of outside church and outside of football, like, life experience, in case you had a guess, or if you even cared. But I figured I relate a little bit, guys, see? But that was kind of my first thought, was like, how do you do that? And so I guess the question is, if you're not in position to maybe overtly share the gospel, like, are you seeing any connections to your faith and your just excellence in what you do and in your role? Is that something that either of you have seen or connected to?
Yes, I think since being commissioned and overall God like changing my heart posture towards work, I've seen that drive to be excellent in my job. I think, again, with that pendulum swinging the wrong way or too far to not idolizing work, you can maybe think, oh, well, I don't want to idolize work. And then I guess God was like showing me to like question my heart. Like, is that not idolizing work, or is it just being lazy? So even now I'm still trying to find the balance of like pursuing excellence without, again, going back the other way and idolizing work. But in that, the drive to stay a little bit longer in the office, to finish things, to help out people where they need assistance. I guess being loving towards my coworkers. We've had people coming from different countries, so people would there's a coworker who was just waiting at the office outside, and I was talking to him, and it's because he didn't have a license, because he didn't know how to do it, so I was like helping him do that. So just like practically loving those around me. I've seen that And then also there is a desire within the office to connect relationally. And so I'm trying to help with that as well.
That's great.
Yeah, I think faith and work can feel overwhelming. At times it has for me, to be honest. I've not nailed this down by any means, but like, I think, I lost my train of thought. What was I going to say?
Well, just
What was
think,
your question?
yeah, the question, just thinking about the difference between like
yes.
the worship. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So, like, I think how do people get saved out of this? How do we get people to know Jesus? That seems like very overwhelming to me personally. Like, I'm not that evangelistic, but then I'm like, my day to day, we're like closing the books and like doing accounting. So it's like, how do you bridge that gap to then saving people? So sometimes it feels like a huge task, but at the same time, like what you're saying, it's not just about having people come to Jesus, right? That's our end goal. But so it's like, it's more to me now in my one-on-one with my staff, instead of just saying, what are you up to? Like, what are you getting done this week? How do I make that person feel known and seen and loved? Like, how do I bring God's love into that situation? Or what else? Like, that's how, it's just more of like the day-to-day decision. So it's like, say somebody pisses you off, right? It's like, how do you respond with character and integrity instead of like gossiping and slandering? Like those are the tensions I have and will face, right? But it's like, I think it's a test of character moment by moment throughout the day. And that will be a testimony in itself, I think. Yeah.
Thank you both. You guys are examples, and I think lots of us here that haven't been commissioned, at least publicly, will desire to also sort of take that mantle on like you guys have done. So thank you very much. Will you give them a hand for joining us up here? Thank you guys.